Hey, hello, happy day, happy life, happy journey. How wonderful to be with you today. Sorry I'm a little late. I had some technical difficulties, but hey, that's just the way we roll. when something happens, we just go, all right, it's meant to be. What do we got to do next? And so we found another technology to go forward. And so here we are. So I'm super grateful to have the opportunity to share with you all this Thursday for Walking the Path. Today's topic is righteous indignation. What the hell does that mean? What does righteous indignation mean? Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us. So, I was saying I got started a little late, but I just had some technical difficulties, and we worked through them. We just roll with the punches. That's what we do. So today's topic is righteous indignation. And what does that mean? I chose that topic because I had a really interesting experience at Rythmia this last week. I was there. I'm back in LA now, but I was there for a really special week. We had some beautiful people, always beautiful people, but it was just a powerful week. It seems like each week is better than the next, but really it's just an expansive week. It's not about better or worse, but just expansive. So here's the deal. Righteous indignation. I woke up. I want to start with this idea first and foremost. The affirmation for the day. Today is a positive day full of love and prosperity. Let's just anchor that. Today is a positive day full of love and prosperity. And here's the deal with righteous indignation. I was at Rythmia. It was Friday. It was almost a week ago. And I woke up early in the morning. Hello. Happy Thursday, Jill. I woke up early in the morning and I was pissed off. Like pissed. And I didn't know quite what that was all about, And a lot of times at Rythmia, I didn't do ceremony because I had to work. I had early meetings, and it's just not conducive to do ceremony and then have an early meeting. So I didn't do ceremony, but I woke up really angry. And a lot of times when you're on property at Rythmia, I find that so many people are releasing things. Sometimes that stuff kind of gets stuck to you. So I thought, well, this anger isn't mine. What am I going to do with it? So I want to talk to you about processing anger, how we process anger, how to move through this, right? So here's what happened. I was at Rythmia. I woke up angry. I went to meditation. That didn't work. Then I thought, okay, prayer. So I went to prayer. That didn't work. All right. Something in me said, go to nature. So luckily I was at Rythmia. The beach was right there. So I went to the beach and I got in the water and I just said, Mother, take this from me. Take this. It's not mine. What is this? What is this anger? It didn't have anything to be. I was with amazing people. It was this expansive week. So much love. Like, what did I have to be angry about? I didn't know where the anger was. So I got in the water. I was just there in the water, just saying, Mother, take this from me. Take this from me. I don't know what it is, but I don't think it's mine. And I was in the water for a good while. And so beautiful, Costa Rica. You got to get to Rythmia. The water's warm. The beach is empty. So it's like 7 a.m, and I'm out there alone, and I get out of the beach, I get out of the water, and I come to the sand, and I just lay there, and I'm just laying there, and all of a sudden these memories of my childhood came forward. These weren't suppressed memories. They were things that I remembered, but I had decided something about them. I decided that these memories were okay, and the memories were of getting hit as a child. Now, I was not abused. Well, this is part of the whole process, right? It wasn't about abuse, but it's about a realization that it's just not right for an adult to hit a kid, right? It's just not right. And it's violent and it's aggressive and it's very jarring. And so I had these memories of being a kid and just being slapped around, sucker punched. My dad came from an era. He's 95, God bless him. He's transitioning. He's in the process of transitioning. He came from an era where that was okay. And I thought, oh, that's just my dad, right? It's okay. And that's how for years I had processed it. So these aren't suppressed memories. These are memories that I had categorized away as something else. And the memory was, that's just my dad. That's the way he is. And if he was an alcoholic, I'd have to accept him. So he hits me, I have to accept him. Now, again, I wasn't he'd beat the crap out of me. But there were times when I had to go to the doctor, and I remember him saying, don't tell the doctor what happened. And I just pushed that down and said, it's okay. That's just my dad. That's the way it is. So these memories come flooding back, and I'm saying, what is this? Wow, I thought I dealt with this. This was, long time ago. And I began to I just sat with the anger. I allowed myself to be angry. All right, let me just be angry about this. And I moved from anger. I didn't want to go right from anger to, loving kindness and forgiveness. I needed an in-between state. So I went from anger to righteous indignation, right? So moving from anger to righteous indignation allowed me to be in the reality of what's so. How to be with this. Like, all right, I got hit. I have a good life. My dad loved me. He wanted the best for me. He was an excellent provider. He's an honest man. I never wanted for anything. He's a good man. And there was some other shit. He's human, right? I'm human. I'm not perfect. He's not perfect. That was one of the things. And so I got to just live in righteous indignation for a minute so that I could be with this, right? So that I could be with this experience. And I'm sorry, I'm going to stop right here. Jambrina said, I want this experience, but I have 3 kids and no support. Healing isn't for the poor. Jambrina, I want to just pause here on my story. Go to Rythmia.com. There's a scholarship program. We have a scholarship program now where we're giving away 8 free stays a month. That's 96 days a year that we're giving away. So Jambrina, I want you to go... I want you to go to Rythmia.com, just click on the scholarship link and go fill out the process, and you can apply more. You can apply regularly, right? Once a month, but you can apply again the next month if you don't get it. But there's scholarships. We're giving away 8 scholarships a month. We just awarded the scholarships last month for October, so they'll be announced December 5th for November. So please go to Rythmia.com and apply for the scholarship program. It's based on need. Okay, back to the story. So I'm on the beach. I'm realizing that I'm really pissed off. Now, again, I'm 50 years old. This happened between the ages of 5 and 14, 15. That's a long time ago. And I was like, wow, I'm really angry about this. I woke up angry. I didn't know what it was. Hey, Nicole. Hey, Alyssa. So I went to righteous indignation, which allowed me to live in the fullness of like, no, that's not right. It's just not right. What happened to me? I got to reframe it from making it okay. I made it okay for a lot of years, but I was really angry about it and I was really hurt about it. Hey, Prince, what's up? So I moved then from righteous indignation to loving kindness. Then I could be in the fullness of my Father. Right? I could love him for everything that he is and everything that he isn't. That's love. That's unconditional love. When you can love someone for everything they are and everything they're not. Hey, Leslie. So this is an important process. We can't spiritually bypass, right? We can't spiritually bypass from anger to loving kindness. And I'm going to tell you a story about why we can't do that. And I want to acknowledge a teacher. I met a beautiful man, Dr. Mario Martinez. He is a thought leader and a neuropsychologist, and he comes to Rythmia once a year, and we love him. And he and I had a great conversation. He was telling me about some work that he was doing with some Tibetan monks. Dig this. So he's working with these Tibetan monks because they have a high instance of type 2 diabetes, which makes no sense. Why do these monks who meditate, 10 to 20 hours a day, eat a vegan meal, and live a life of a monk? Why are they have outpicturing type 2 diabetes in their body? So Dr. Mario Martinez works with them, and he realizes, first of all, that in Tibetan language, there's no word for emotion. They have no word for emotion. Dalai Lama had to translate it into Tibetan, and he translated it as the effect of experience, right? They didn't even have a way to conceptualize emotion. So emotion is the effect of an experience. Good. That Dalai Lama's right on, baby. So So he's first of all, that was the first thing he realized. And the second thing is that the Tibetans have a practice of loving kindness and wishing the best for their enemies. Now, their enemies is China. And China's raped their women, ruined, destroyed their temples, stolen their sacred texts, taken over their country, exiled their leader. So they have a lot of anger about this. And the monks are meditating daily for the best and highest good for the Chinese. That's part of the Tonglen practice, part of the loving kindness practice. So they went right from this anger to loving kindness. Now, Dr. Mario Martinez helped me understand that physiologically, anger releases certain chemicals in the body, right? The pituitary gland is the master pharmacy of the body, and it's releasing all of these chemicals when we're angry or when we're happy, when we're sad. These are neurotransmitters and chemicals that help us process our emotions. So if you're really angry, a whole flood of a particular neurotransmitter is released in the body. And if you go right from anger to loving kindness, in order for the body to process that emotion, huge amounts of dopamine have to be released. And dopamine metabolizes in the body as glucose. And that's why the monks were having a high rate of type 2 diabetes, because they were practicing their loving kindness and moving directly from anger to loving kindness. And the body, so that's fine when we can bring ourselves from anger to peace quickly. We can do that. But when you do that consistently, day in and day out over many years, that is going to outpicture as an illness in the body. This is how important the mind and body connection are. How important it is to guard our emotions, to be aware of them and not suppress them. Suppressed emotions outpicture as disease in the body. So this was cool. And I just wanted to acknowledge Dr. Mario Martinez for that story, because that helped me when I was on the beach, moving from anger for something that happened many years ago with my father. And it came up, I believe, because he's transitioning, right? So so all these things are processing now. And it came up. And I'm grateful for the spiritual practices that we have, because it allowed me to at least be with the anger, right? To be with it, not to suppress it, not to get hooked by it, not to go into it, not to run away from it, not to jump into compulsive behavior, but to just be with it. How do we be with it? Righteous indignation. When we're angry about something, we have to process it. So allow yourself to feel that. It's like Panache Desai has a great example in one of his books that it's like a car in neutral. Right? You can be with your anger. You can be with any emotion as long as you're in neutral. When the engine is in neutral, you can rev that sucker as much as you want, slam the pedal down, peg the tachometer or whatever it is. The RPMs, just peg it. Nothing's going to happen because the car is in neutral. The minute you engage that, put it into drive, bam, somebody's going to get hurt. Something's going to happen. So when we process emotion, we can be in righteous indignation. That puts us into neutral. It allows us to move from this high level of anger and then to process it and to be with our emotion righteously. Like it's not right. It's not right that the Chinese did that to the Tibetans. It's not right that an adult hits a young kid. It's not right for anybody, no matter how good their intention. A cruel intention or a kind intention makes it no less a crime to enforce a hurt on another person, right? So this is the key. Righteous indignation allows us to process what we're going through. And here's how it worked for me at the beach. But there are a couple of keys. First, the key to processing any emotion. The key to processing any emotion, whether it is anger or sadness or not, or fear or doubt or lack or limitation, any of those emotions, we must be with them. We can't suppress them. We can't get hooked by it. In other words, we can't go into it, I'm so angry, and then just react. We can't suppress it. We can't jump into compulsive behavior to numb it. We have to be with it. And when we just are being with it, it dissipates, it heals itself. So the key, first of all, is your awareness. We must bring our awareness. How am I feeling? Right? The minute we do that, if we're just fused with the emotion, The minute we do that, if we can observe it, it gives us a little distance, right? When we're not observing, when we're just reacting, we're fused with the emotion, and then that means we're engaged, and that car is going to hit a wall or it's going to hit somebody and it's going to hurt. But if I can disengage and observe, allow that emotion to be fully within me, right? Fully within me. Then that awareness allows me to be with it, and from being with it, I can then allow it to dissipate and move to a state of peace, move to a state of wholeness, to a state of completion, to a state of love. I can open my heart. But what we do in the spiritual world so much is move from whatever the emotion is to opening our heart, which can outpicture as illness in the body. So it's a spiritual bypass, right? It's not dealing with the real issue, so it's going to come back up again. But when we can be with it, right? When we can be with it, then we're dealing with it, and then we can move to loving kindness. Then we can move to our heart opening. Then we can move to forgiveness. Then, right, that's how we process forgiveness. That's how we process anger. That's how we process shame. That's how we process fear, sadness, calmness. So here's the key to stay in the emotion, right? What are emotions? Right? It's very easy for us to mentalize spirituality, talk about it, think about it. We stay in our heads about it. We've got to be in the emotion, be in the body. So first question, how am I feeling? How does it make me feel? How does it make me feel? I'm feeling sad. And how do we stay in emotion? There's only 6 emotions that we can feel. And there's many variations of these, but these are the main ones. Shame, fear, anger, sadness, calmness, and numbness. Shame, fear, anger, sadness, calmness, and numbness. I'm sure there's more, and then there's variations of all of those. There's degrees of all of those. So what's so easy to do is to jump into our minds about it. Well, my father did this, and I just don't think it's right, and really, he shouldn't have done that, right? Okay, how am I feeling about it? I'm angry, right? None of the story about it. Get out of the head and into the heart. Get out of the head and into the body, rather. Not into the heart yet, into the body. How do I feel? Am I shameful? Am I feeling shame? Am I feeling fear? Am I feeling anger? Am I feeling sadness? Am I feeling calmness? Am I feeling numbness? Then we can allow that emotion. We can be with it. We can engage. We don't have to engage it, but we can rev it up. We can let it fully run through our bodies so that we have an awareness of it. And awareness is the key. Awareness is the key. So I want to remind you, how do we become aware? Meditation. It's the highest spiritual technology that we have. Meditation. Oh, and meditation allows us to purify these things, to be with in a way where we can observe without judgment. Observation without judgment is freedom. Let me say that again. Freedom is observation without judgment. So when we can observe our emotions without judging them, we are in our power. We can process them healthfully. We allow our body to gently move from the emotion to a state of being with if it's anger, you can be righteously indignant. If it's fear, you can stop in a place of acceptance and realization of oneness, right? If it's sadness, you can stop into a place of peace, right? Wherever, like, okay, I'm sad. How can I be with my sadness? First of all, it's okay. The first thing, hey George, hey Vanessa, the first thing is, Jen, hey, how you doing? The first thing is to be with it and ask yourself, how am I feeling? Once you can ask yourself that, it gives you a little bit of space from the emotion. And once you have some space from the emotion, then you can process it. So righteous indignation is one of the ways to process anger. And it allows us to move from the emotion of anger to being with it without engaging it, without running away from it. And then we can move into our heart opening. Then we can move into forgiveness. Then we can move into love. Then we can move into joy. Then we can move into really being ourselves. So that's the key right there. That's what we are talking about today. I'm really grateful to have this opportunity to speak with you and to share this with you. I'm grateful for Mario Martinez and his great teachings about the Tibetan Buddhist monks and their healing. By the way, when he worked with the Tibetan Buddhists and had them move into righteous indignation, their type 2 diabetes went away. So this is a great story of how our mental state outpictures in our body. Our mental state outpictures in the body. So I'm noticing that there's a few more people joining. So I'm going to jump back into this really quickly. And I'm going to go back through the story. That today's topic is righteous indignation. And the reason why it's called righteous indignation is because it's the key to processing our emotions. How do we process our emotions? Right? So what we talked about earlier was a story that I went through recently at Rythmia. I was at Rythmia, and I woke up one morning very angry. And it wasn't my anger. I didn't think it was. I thought, what is this? I'm angry. So I went into meditation. Meditation wasn't the balm that I was seeking. Then I went into prayer. Prayer didn't work. Something in me said, go into nature. So I went into nature. And I went to the ocean. Thank God I was in Costa Rica because the ocean was warm. So I went into the ocean and I said, Mother, take this from me. Take this from me. And I got out of the water. When I got out, I realized that I was angry about something, angry about a situation that happened with my father. I was angry that, I got hit when I was a kid. And it wasn't that I was beat, beyond recognition, but no matter what, it's not right for an adult to hit a kid. So that's righteous indignation. So I moved from anger into righteous indignation. And then from righteous indignation, I was able to move into loving kindness for my father. And be in that place of knowing the fullness of who he is, right? Loving someone for everything they are and everything they're not. That's unconditional love. That's the truth. And so what we were talking about earlier was a story of Dr. Mario Martinez working with a group of Tibetan Buddhist monks. And hello, Gretchen. And so these monks had a high outpicturing of type 2 diabetes in their bodies, and they didn't know why, because they were meditating all the time and eating vegan cuisine. Where's type 2 diabetes coming from? So Dr. Martinez, who's a neuropsychologist that comes to Rythmia and is really an amazing man, he told me this story that he started working with the Tibetan Buddhists to see what was going on. And they have a practice of loving kindness, and they have to pray for their enemies, to wish the best for their enemies. So what they were doing was wishing the best for the Chinese. Well, the Chinese raped their nuns and destroyed their temples and ruined their texts, stole their sacred texts, ran their leader out of the country. And so they were moving from this anger to righteous indignation. From anger to loving kindness, right? And what happens when the body releases when the body releases the hormones for anger, it requires a huge expression of dopamine. The dopamine must be released in order to process that anger in the body. Well, over long periods of time, dopamine metabolizes as glucose in the body and was outpicturing as type 2 diabetes for these monks. So what Dr. Martinez shared with me was that he taught the monks to move to righteous indignation first, not to move directly from anger to loving kindness, right? That's really what we do in the spiritual realm, is we do a spiritual bypass. And we bypass to loving kindness, and we're not dealing with what's really going on. It's going to come back up again. But if we can land in righteous indignation for just a minute, right? From our anger, then I can say, no, that thing that happened, that wasn't right. It wasn't right. It's not right for an adult to hit a kid. It's not right for someone to control somebody else. It's not, whatever it is, right? You can say, no, that doesn't resonate with me. That's not right. And then being with it in that way allows me to feel the emotion. And feeling the emotion, being with the emotion, allows it to dissipate. It's like poison ivy. When you have poison ivy, right, you want to scratch that itch. The more you scratch, the more it spreads. So the more I engage the emotion or get fused with the emotion, the more power it has. But if I can just be with the discomfort of that emotion for a minute, it's going to heal itself. If I can just be with the discomfort of the poison ivy, it's going to heal itself. So the key to processing our emotions is being with them. Being with them, and how do we be with them? We move from, first of all, we ask an awareness. What am I feeling? That's the key. What am I feeling? Not what am I thinking, not what do I think about this, but how do I feel, right? And it's so easy to be like, well, I'm thinking that this isn't a right thing to do and that adults shouldn't do that to kids. And no, that's thinking. What I'm feeling is anger, right? So we have to anchor into our feeling, and then from our feeling, from being with it, then we can move to our spiritual practice, not bypassing it. Move to our spiritual practice of loving kindness, of opening our hearts, of forgiving the unforgivable, right? But we have to process it. So that was the point of this talk, that we can process our emotions, and there's only 6 major emotions. Right, so I want to leave this with you here. The key is to be aware of our emotions. The only emotions we can feel are shame, fear, anger, sadness, calmness, and numbness. Right, 6 emotions. Now there's lots of variations on all of those. There's also degrees, right? But those are the main categories. So be careful as you're doing this to not get into your head, well, I don't think this is right, or I feel that this shouldn't have happened. Is it shame? Is it anger? Is it fear? Is it numbness? Is it calmness? Is it sadness? What is it? Right? Stay in the emotion. When you're in the emotion of it, then you have a little bit of distance. Right? There's a little bit of space between you and the emotion. You're not fused with it. Once I can get a little bit of space, then I can be with it. Do I move to righteous indignation? Do I move to an awareness that all is well? Do I move to whatever the truth is for you? Right? I'm sad, and it's okay to be sad. That's really it. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to feel what I'm feeling and be with it. And then once you have that moment of allowing it, like the car's in neutral, that emotion can rev up. You can peg that RPM, baby, right? Allow it, let it run through you, but don't engage it. Because when you engage it, something's going to happen. Someone's going to get hurt. That car's going to hit a wall. It's going to hit a person. It's going to hit a tree. Something's going to happen, right? But if I can leave it in neutral and rev that engine, allow that emotion to go through me, then I can calm down. The RPMs start to decline, and it's healing itself. And then I can move to loving kindness. Then I can move to peace. Then I can move to joy. Then I can move to forgiveness. So that's our talk today. Righteous indignation. I want to leave you with the thought, today is a positive day full of love and prosperity. I'm so grateful that you all joined. I'm so grateful that I get to do this. Wow, life is good. Always, no matter what the appearances are. Thank you, Vanessa. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Blanca. Thank you, Gretchen. Thank you, everyone who joined today. Wishing you peace and richest blessings, knowing that all is well and everything is unfolding in divine perfection. Thank you so much.